All right, I think we have everybody. Hello, it's Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, and it is 5 p.m. And so I'm going to go ahead and call our closed session to order. Madam Clerk, is there any request to speak or any correspondence on our closed session items tonight?
No request to speak, and the council did receive correspondence in their red folders.
All right, very good. Thank you. So, council members, let's go ahead and recess to closed session right now. It is 5 o'clock, and we will be back in an hour for our regular meeting. Thank you. Okay, folks, if we can work our way to our seats, we're going to start in just a few seconds. All right, I think we are ready. I want to welcome everyone to our June 19th, 2024 regular City Council meeting. June 19th, by the way, is Juneteenth, and I think some of you might have been there with me. This weekend, we had a very nice Juneteenth event over at MSJC, and it was wonderful. Lots of music and dance and a lot of love. So just happy to say happy Juneteenth to everybody for being here. All right, so with that, I'm going to call our meeting to order. It is 6:04. Mr. City Attorney, anything to report from our closed session?
Not this not this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Jeff. And then, Madam Clerk, have we received any correspondence on this agenda tonight?
Yes, council has received correspondence on item 7 and 12.2.
Got it in the red folder?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, and with that, if you don't mind, please call roll for us.
Councilmember Estrada,
Here.
Councilmember Carwin,
Here.
Councilmember Sobek,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dinas,
Here.
and Mayor Zimmerman.
And I'm here, thank you. So we are now on item 3. This is Words of Inspiration, and I saw our good friend, a member of our Interfaith Council, and also the pastor, Grace Abbott from Unity Beth Nathaniel Church. Welcome, and thank you for coming to give us some words of inspiration and help set the tone for our meeting.
Thank you for having me. I want you to bow your heads and just be in quiet in your spirit. Father, I thank you for blessing this city. Thank you for blessing this city council. Thank you for blessing the citizens. And thank you for blessing even those who drive past our city in Jesus' name. I ask, oh Lord, for continued wisdom, grace, counsel, and help for leaders to lead this city and for citizens to dwell in love. I thank you for blessing the businesses and all the organizations. I thank you for the different ministries, schools, people of our city. Thank you, Lord. May your goodness continue to find us and fill us and always lead us. Thank you for keeping us safe. Lord, we trust in you to continue to keep us safe. Amen. Thank you for shining your light, your wisdom, understanding, sense of community, the care for one another, the love for one another in this city. Father, we thank you especially for that united front, because it is rare. Thank you for the citizens who prosper and the businesses that continue to prosper in the city as you enlarge our coast. Father, I ask that you bless continually the projects and the development for the city. We ask that you will continue to shine and lift up your countenance upon this city favorably, and that you bless us always and put your name on us. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Pastor Grace. We appreciate you coming tonight. All right. We are on item 4. This is our Pledge of Allegiance, and we are blessed to have one of our planning commissioners, Randy Madrid, here. Randy, do you mind leading us in our flag salute? Let's all stand.
Place your hands over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Madrid. All right, so we're now on item 5. I'm going to ask the council to join me up front. I'm also going to ask Gloria Sanchez, who is our Citizen of the Month for this month, to come up. Okay, so I think as you all know, each month the city of Menifee chooses somebody who goes above and beyond, works behind the scenes, works tirelessly, rolls up their sleeves, and gets a lot done for the betterment of all the residents in this community. And I can't think of anybody who works harder than Gloria Sanchez. And so I'm so very pleased to be able to have you be honored tonight. But this selection was made by Councilman Dean Dinas, our Mayor Pro Tem, and I think it was a very, very good choice. So I'm going to trade places with him and have him share why he chose Gloria.
So how many of you here for Gloria tonight? It's a shame you don't have any friends. I don't know where to start. I think it'd be easier to say what Gloria doesn't do. It'd be much shorter. But, as the chairperson for our senior advisory committee and how successful that is, and then she also sits on regional councils as well and represents Menifee there. Matter of fact, I think she shows up to more Menifee functions than a lot of us city council members do. That's how involved she is. So I thought, it's high time then. Yeah, I think she's a shining example of what a volunteer is. I don't know how she squeezes, 9 hours in an 8-hour day, but she's learned the secret of doing that. And I think that's been a benefit to our city, especially our seniors. I can't say enough how much she does for our seniors. She's out there looking up programs and pushing them out and researching and stuff. So I think our senior community owes a lot to Gloria and for the rest of the senior advisory committee, especially Emery, because she's mine. She's one of the best ones, too. Not that I'm prejudiced or anything. Lynch is, oh, yeah, hi, Linda. Anyways, I kind of got off track, didn't I? I don't have my reading glasses on, but it says a lot of good stuff here on this. So now I know we're supposed to hand this over and let you say something, but so be patient. It may be a while. So go ahead and say something.
Oh, you want me to say something?
Okay, we're going to say something first. So I was trying to think while we're standing here how many years I've known Gloria Sanchez, and when I first met her, I remember when she was volunteering for the Riverside County Office on Aging, and I think that's the first time I met her. And she has been such an advocate for seniors, not only in this city, but in the county and now nationally. And I am proud to call her a friend, more than just a volunteer. She has brought awareness to intergenerational projects with our youth leaders of Menifee as well. She's on the Lake Menifee Women's Club. She's been chair of the Menifee Interfaith Council. She brought, I don't know if you know this, but her and Linda, as her co-chair, have brought a free Thanksgiving meal every single year for the last so many years on doing that for our citizens, and raises the money for that. We can go on, and I just want to say thank you, because you have made a difference in the lives of so many seniors and brought so many resources here for them, and it's been your leadership that has done that, so thank you. You're well deserved.
Thank you.
Gloria, I'm sure we can go down the list of all the accomplishments, but I just want to talk on the person that you are. You bring so much energy to the community. Every time I see you, you say, Councilman Estrada, push for this. And I say, Gloria, I love your energy. I'm going to go push for that. And you always say, Councilman Estrada, I have these great ideas. And you always have these energetic, great ideas, and your wheels are always turning. The energy you bring to our community is so appreciated, and you're a public servant. It isn't easy to be a public servant and to always sacrifice your personal time with your friends and family for others, and that's what you do with your life. life. So thank you so much, and the city of Menifee thanks you so much.
A lot of people wonder how city council gets things done in a city. And a large part of it has to do with people who see needs in the community and they come to us. And most of the time it's, I have a need here, get something done. When Gloria comes to us, she comes to us with a solution already prefabbed and in mind. She's done the groundwork, she's done the research, she's made the contacts, and it makes getting things done by the city and the city council for the residents so much smoother and faster and easier. So it's people like you that are the direct reason that we're able to provide what we can for our city. You're the eyes and ears, but you're also out there advocating and being a liaison, and you're tireless in doing that. So we can't thank you enough for being such an advocate for our residents and such a good partner with the city council and by serving the city in so many different ways. So thank you, Gloria.
I got to sneak a couple more things in there. So, Gloria, you're an inspiration to all of us. You lead by example, and you're showing us the way. You're showing us exactly how to do all the wonderful things you do for other people, and so I appreciate that. I'm also going to ask some of the representatives from our state and federal levels. I think we have Assemblyman Asali's office, as well as Senator Sayardo, and I see Will from Senator Ochoa Bogue's office. We'll just have you guys come up and say a few words too, and then we'll let Gloria do all the speaking after that. So we'll start with Angelica Austin. She is, yes, go ahead.
Hi, Gloria. Your name holds such a special little place in my heart. You know, as mentioned before in one of these meetings, I've grown up here. I've spent most of my adolescence here, and I'm enjoying spending so much of my adult life here as well. But your name is the name I've seen plastered all over the city of Menifee, and I always wondered, who is Gloria Sanchez? I've never met her before. I amazingly thought it was my college professor also had his name, Gloria Sanchez. I'm like, are you running? She's like, no, but I'm helping on her campaign. So being able to have such a stellar role model in our community for advocacy and being able to reach out and actually have meaningful connections for each of our senior citizens here, and you know, the traversing the gap between generations and whatnot, it is amazing. And what you do for this community and for the people inside of it and within it, I don't have enough words. Congratulations, and this is so well deserved.
Thank you so much.
Just hang out with us. No worries. Well, hi, Gloria. It's always good to see you. I'm excited to be here, and like as mentioned, you clearly have a lot of support, which is fantastic. You must be doing good work, which I know is the case. And the one thing I always say is, if you can get all these electeds in different offices here, you're important and you're doing good things. So thank you for choosing to continue to do that. It's not easy. It doesn't always come with thanks, but I know that's not what you're in it for. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't take the opportunity to do that. Thank you for showing our senior community as well as every other generation for that. We really appreciate it, and I know you care so much about the city of Menifee, and you want to see it continue to grow. So on behalf of the Assemblyman, I'd love to present you this with certificate. And I also, they weren't able to be here, but I do have one from Congressman Calvert's office as well that I brought with me as well. So so congratulations, and it's well deserved. Absolutely. Oh.
Hi, Gloria. So I know you're a friend of the senators, and she just hated that she couldn't be here. So she made sure I came here with, we have, I don't know if you remember our certificates, but we have the new ones now. We did it just for you. It's not favoritism. We actually just got it. But so we have the certificate to, well, I just wanted to share, we had a town hall that was canceled because of COVID, because somebody in the office got COVID. I don't know who that jerk was. It was me. But she was there, and it wasn't her event, but she's like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here for as long as it takes, so anybody who didn't get the memo would know that it was canceled. And it just shows how much you care. And I think that's why we're all here, because you embody that selfless service of the spirit of Menifee, which is why I love coming down here, because it seems like everybody cares, and you're the one that leads the pack in that. And you care so much. I mean, you have all your friends here from the Oasis, and you made that happen. You had the senator come down, all of our bosses come down here, because you wanted to connect everybody in the community. So we thank you for that, and thank you for being an inspiration to everybody here.
That's your turn.
This is overwhelming, and I'm not usually at a loss for words, as you know, but I'm very humbled for this recognition. I love my city, and I want to thank my friends who are here from the Oasis. Thank you all. I want to thank all the city council and everyone here in this room for your support and everything I do. You say I have touched you, you have touched me. You make everything great. Armando, thank you. One of these days we'll still go out for lunch. I know that. But to my friends, to Anne Marie, who is special to me on the advisory council, on the senior advisory committee, as well as Linda Blanche back there, and all the people from community services and all the staff at the city. You're great. We love you. I love you. I love working with you. I will continue my effort to always, always support our senior in the city of Menifee. And I will continue to support the city of Menifee. We're a great city. Together we can accomplish a lot. And I just want to thank you all for being here today. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Okay. So what we're going to try to do is tighten up. We'll take one picture with this group, and then we're going to do something interesting. I'm going to have Phil do something he's never done before. Yes. So let's tighten up, and we'll be ready. What happened? Everybody's holding everybody get their proclamations. All right. So let's do a photo. Phil, I'm going to have you come back behind here. I'm going to have everybody stand up, and we're going to face this direction so we can get them all, because I know all you guys came here to support Gloria, and let's all get in this photo together. Yeah.
You know, in my haste, I forgot to mention, one person that is so close to me, and he takes care of me, and that's my son, who is with me today. Jonathan.
All right, so coming this direction, turning around, and can we see everybody? Phil, is there any way you can see us all? Yeah. Squeeze in towards the center if you're on the outside edges.
All right, everybody, 1, 2, 3, big smiles, 1, 2, 3, big hands up for Gloria. There we go, beautiful.
All right.
This is the one where you flip everyone off.
No, don't do that.
Right here, ready? 1, 2, 3.
It's a family
affair. Beautiful.
Thank you, Phil. All right, you guys, thank you. Everybody who came today, thank you. It really means a lot. It's very nice, and it's well-deserved, right? Yes. She does so many great things. And we got a little swag bag for you. Well, don't quite leave yet, because we are going to be honoring our friends Luke and Pa from Exquisite Tapas right now. So why don't you guys come on up and join us? Our next presentation is our business spotlight of the month. And today's business spotlight is Exquisite Tapas. Has anybody been there? If you haven't, you should go check it out. It is really a unique dining experience. It's something different, but it's really, really cool. So I'm going to turn this over to Kayla Charters, who is our Economic Development Director, to share about this month's Business Spotlight.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Charters with the Economic Development Department, and I'm here to present the Business Spotlight. So once a month, the City of Menifee recognizes one of our local businesses that go above and beyond the call of business and that give back to our Menifee community. So this month, June, we are honoring Exquisite Tapas. So they opened in November of 2023 and is owned and operated by Luke and Pa Brown, who are Menifee residents. So that's amazing that they choose to invest in Menifee, and yeah. So Exquisite Tapas offers a unique dining experience, combining traditional tapas plates with international cuisine, creating a fusion of flavors and dishes. Guests are encouraged to share and explore a variety of small plates, making each visit a new culinary adventure. They recognize that people appreciate tasting a variety of flavor of dishes, and which is exactly what they get when they visit Exquisite Tapas. Luke and Pa have gone to great lengths to ensure that the ambiance of their restaurant is just as inviting as the food, as their goal is to create a welcoming atmosphere and introduce you to a fusion of cultures. Exquisite Tapas not only features its regular menu, but also has a seasonal menu and provides a range of thoughtfully selected wines and craft beers, specially chosen to enhance the flavor of their dishes. They have participated in the Taste of Menifee, as well as hosted gatherings for various clubs and organizations in the Menifee community, and most recently was honored as Emerging Business of the Year Award at the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce's 45th Awards Gala. And as part of the program, we partner with the business to create a commercial for them. So with that, I'll go ahead and give the cue to roll a video. They are located over off of Scott Road over at the Shops at Scott. So if you haven't been, I highly encourage you guys to go and stop by. I would like to invite Luke and Pa to say a few words if they would like to.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, especially the City of Menifee, Kayla, and just all your hard work, and Gina, and just all the support from the community. We just want to say thank you to Kat, our general manager. She's helped us along the way, and she's still putting up with us. We want to do more for the community once we get, you know, everything going, and we want to like be out there and do more for the community. So thank you for all your support.
So my wife and I moved out here from Massachusetts real short. We moved out from Massachusetts with our 3 children. We got in an RV and we were driving over here. We're trying to figure out where we're gonna live at. And just prior to us driving out, we came to meet with Gina, and we sat down with her, and then, you know, we looked around a couple of places, and then we went to another city. And the way that we were treated by this city and the individuals in it is the reason why we moved our children to Menifee. The city is an amazing city. The support has been amazing. Mayor Zimmerman came over on Saturday. He was tired, about to fall asleep in the booth, but he said, I had to come over here. I had to support you guys. And we want to make sure everybody knows that a lot of people think that the establishment is just a place to go out for a date night or just a place to hang out. But it's about family. It's about bringing people together. And that's why we opened the establishment, because we want people to join together and have good times and good food. The variety of food that we have is there because I'm a picky eater. My wife is not. She eats everything. Not a lot of everything, but she eats everything. And I don't want to get in trouble. But So the menu comes from different establishments, different flavors from across the world, as Kayla had said. So you have a little bit of African, a little Asian, an Italian, American. So it's a bunch of flavors that you can share together with a meal, so that way you're not stuck with having just a burger. So that's why we did it. But like I said earlier, the reason why we're here in Menifee is because of support. And Ivan, George, you guys have been amazing. The people that in the city of Menifee that come there are regulars. It's important for you guys to know that a family-owned establishment is hard to run. It's hard to do it, but we jumped out on a limb and we brought our kids out here and we're trying to push to make it happen. So after this event, party at Exquisite Tapas. All right. So thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's support and I appreciate it. And Bill's in Bill. Oh my goodness, Bob, I messed up. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. So obviously, they are a mom and pop here in this community. It's something that all of us have encouraged. I know we've got, how many of you are chamber members that are here today, ambassadors and board members, and you all agree that it's businesses like this, they take that risk, but they bring unique dining experiences to our community, which we're so in need of. And so I just wanted to just share a word of thanks. I'm going to pass the microphone to some of my colleagues because I think they're probably going to want to share a couple of encouragement, words of encouragement. We'll start with Councilman Dinas.
Thank you. You know, our residents have, for a long time now, have asked, we need good places to go eat, and we love local eateries, not the chains. And you fit both bills, and I think that's why the community has embraced you so much. This is what they've been looking for and what they've been waiting for. So I can't thank you enough for deciding on coming to Menifee and making this home for your family and for your business. This is wonderful news, and I think you're going to see a lot of success going forward just because the community loves your place to eat and the community. That's, you know, like you said, it's all about the community and family and friends. So thank you so much.
Well, first of all, congratulations on receiving our Business Spotlight of the Month so that we can highlight your wonderful establishment. I loved you sharing your story and that you chose Menifee. And as Councilmember Dinas said, our residents have been asking for mom and pop establishments. And I loved what it said at the end of your video, good times. So come in and have good times and enjoy some great food. And I just want to say congratulations and welcome to Menifee.
We are so proud of you guys. As my colleagues have already said, we look for the unique eateries. Our city is in need of it, and you're fitting the bill and bringing what the residents want. But also, what I think is very important with you guys is you guys offer something that our residents keep screaming for, okay? And you guys also have my favorite glass of sangria. Yeah, you guys fill in all the fruit in there and do a great job. Thursdays, they have free salsa, right, Luke? Yeah, so Thursdays, if you guys want to come out and have free salsa lessons, go check them out. Thank you so much for all your contributions to your community, and we're going to be rooting for you, okay? Yeah.
How's it going? I wish everybody knew how hard these two worked to get this place open and everything they had to go through, which shows the dedication that they had to being a part of this community and how wonderfully it came out. And we can't thank you enough. All of that desire and passion comes out in the food. And I know of what I speak because I've enjoyed it on many occasions. It's fantastic. So I just want to congratulate you on making it through all of the hurdles to get open, and many, many years of success because you're exactly what the city of Menifee wants and needs.
Let's do a photo together. We're going to tighten up, squeeze it in. Thank you, Kayla. You got to fix your hair, both of them? All right, thank you guys. Congratulations, we're very proud of you. Okay, next up I'm going to ask the Paris Union High School District retired Grant Bennett to come join us. I don't know if you guys know, but Grant has served the school district for many, many years, something like 30 years. 31 years. I'm sorry, I shortchanged you. But hey, after serving 30 years and also serving at the helm most recently, today we wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate you on your retirement and also thank you for leading this great school district. So many people want to come to Menifee, and it's because we have great schools, high-performing schools, and opened a brand new high school under your leadership, Liberty High School, and built 3 brand new swimming pools in all of our Menifee schools and 1 in Paris. And so it's just exciting, all the wonderful things that have been happening at our high school district. And Grant, we just wanted to be able to say thank you tonight. Last week they held a retirement event. It was over at Paris High School, and you received lots of proclamations from many agencies, including the City of Paris. And I was there as well to congratulate you, but I also wanted to invite you to come here tonight because I know the council here all wants to share some individual words as well. So before we have you give your goodbye speech, we're going to have our Mayor Pro Tem and the rest of the council also share a couple words.
Well, the nice part about Grant is that you've always, even though you're running the schools, you always thought about the community. Because one thing I remember is when we had the ribbon cutting for the pool at Heritage High School, you said, maybe we can work something out here where the community can use it when we're not using it during the summer. Because of your leadership and your vision, we're now going and having summer swimming at Paloma. So that you initiated that, and I thank you on behalf of Menifee for doing that. But longevity, and part of the fun part of being city council is we get to go to the student of the month. And it's amazing how many teachers stand up talking about their students. It goes, oh yeah, and when Grant was my teacher, so I don't want to age him, but that shows the dedication he's had over all these 31 years for education and for the students. And I think, and you can tell by how well the staff look up to you and respect you, and how well the schools are doing. So thank you, Grant. And retirement's wonderful, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Very, very well said.
Yes, Grant, we've had some nice conversations in the last couple of weeks attending all the graduations together. And working in education myself and being retired, thank you. A lot of times teachers and administrators don't get a thank you. And they see and students go on, and you've made a difference in their lives. And so I just want to say thank you for all those students that you didn't get to hear from, and your dedication to providing them a great education. And I also wish you a happy retirement. And I know you said you're not going far, that you're going to probably help a little bit with the Boys and Girls Club around here, so we appreciate that. And just thank you.
Grant, thank you for your service to our community. I mean, over 30 years, I bet you can write a book of all the funny or crazy things students have said. Yeah. So 30 years is a long time, and we really appreciate your service and the dedication. And when you invest as an educator in students, you don't always see the fruits of your labor, within the same month or sometimes within the same year. And, we hope to touch a couple and plant the seed and develop them into young, prosperous adults and take those ideas and put good use to what we taught them. And it's a lot of sacrifice. So thank you for your 30 years of public service in the education system.
Grant, I always enjoyed seeing you at the Student of the Month functions and seeing the respect that you get from the education community. I've talked to a lot of education professionals behind your back, and none of them have had bad things to say about you, even without you there. Just as a personal anecdote, I had 2 children who went through all the way through to Paloma, and they went to Paloma, and both of them went off to college, and my son graduated from there. He went to college in Illinois and decided to become an educator. And I think because of the experience he had with Paloma and what the resources in the district put into the students, he got out of it what I think you were hoping that students would, and he's a shining example of the support that you give the students and what you give to our community. So I just wanted to thank you so much for your service to our community and what you've done for our students.
So, Grant, we do want you to share a few words, and I'm going to present this to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I came to Paris 31 years ago, to Paris Union High School District. We served Menifee and Paris and Romoland and Nuevo. Kind of a funny story is I called the district, how do you get there? This is 1993, there's no GPS. I had a Thomas guide. And so I called the district office how to get there and said, you take the 215 south and turn right at the second stoplight. Oh, where am I going? There's a stoplight on the freeway. And sure enough, there was one at Alessandro, there's one at Nuevo Road. And from that time, just seeing the growth and what we've been able to do in our district to make it better for all students. We opened Paloma Valley in 1995. We opened Heritage in 2007, and we opened Liberty. What year was that? 2 years ago. 3 years ago, so whatever that works out to be, 2021. But thinking back in 2012, we passed a bond to try to build Liberty High School. And we didn't get the money that the state had always guaranteed a partial back to us to be able to build the school. So 2018, we had to come back out to our voters again and say, we hate to do this, but we need the school. Paloma Valley's at 3,600 kids. It's unsafe and it's crazy. And the community again backed us. It was a tough road to hoe, but we were able to pass it, and that's Liberty High School now. If you haven't been out there, you should go check it out. It's a state-of-the-art school. It looks like a community college or a four-year university. But now we're doing what we promised at Paloma Valley. We built the pool at Paloma that we promised in 2012. Because in 2018, I was telling people this, we're only going to promise what we can do. We're not going to make promises pie in the sky. We're only what we can do. We built the pool over there. Right now we're building a multi-purpose room. They've never had one before. And it's going to have a culinary program connected to it, so Paloma Valley's getting that. We built a pool over at Heritage also, and at Paris High, I put a new one in there. But when I took over as superintendent, I wanted all my students to have three choices. They go to college, they go to a career, they go in the service. If we could get every kid to reach those goals, we've done our job, and I think we have. And my other goal was to leave Paris Union High School District in a better place than it was when I took over. I think we've been able to do that. So I want to thank the Menifee community and the council for having me here tonight. I look forward to continue to work in the community.
Awesome, very well said. I remember quite a few years back, Paloma Valley High School built a new concession building over there at the football field, and it was like 104 degrees that we did a ribbon cutting. And then there was a barbecue, and Grant stood behind this barbecue grill in 104 degrees, and I remember thinking to myself, that is a leader, a superintendent who's willing to say, I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and do the work here and get this done. And you have continued in that same vein, serving on our Boys and Girls Club board. Thank you for doing that. You didn't have to do that, and you said, I want to serve these kids. That's what it's all about. So, Grant, thank you. This certificate of appreciation and congratulations is appreciating your 33 years in the field of education, your 31 years devoted to our students here at Paris Union High School District. So today we honor you. It's the 19th day of June 2024. And Grant, congratulations on your retirement. And we really appreciate all your great years of leadership here. So thank you. All right, let's do a photo together. All right. Whoops. All right. Well, congratulations again. And council members, we can head back to behind the dais. Okay, that brings us to our fourth item for presentations. It's our community services update. And I see Ms. Mitchell's here, so go ahead and take over from here, Mariana.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and residents. It's my pleasure to give a brief update on what we have going on in the Community Services Department for the next month. So here I want to highlight a couple things. The first one is actually tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. at the Case Sinacero Senior Center. We actually have our Scam Identity Theft Prevention Workshop, which is organized by Gloria Sanchez and our Senior Advisory Committee, that has a number of representatives from Riverside County, from the DA's office, Sheriff's office. I believe we also have a representative from the Post Office for mail theft, and our Menifee PD. So there's a lot of opportunities for seniors who want to learn the ins and outs and to kind of prepare themselves to prevent any types of scams or identities that target some of our senior population. So really important that's happening tomorrow, along with several other workshops and some of our other things at the Case Sinacero Senior Center. As mentioned a little bit earlier, we do have our brand new summer aquatics program, and it is very popular thanks to the partnership with Paris Union High School District at Paloma Valley High School. They've been a great partner just working with us on access to the facility, getting parents where they need to be for swim lessons. So again, it's been a wonderful working relationship, and we're proud to be able to offer this summer. Our Learn to Swim lessons are completely full. We have about 90 youth that are coming out every single day to the pool to participate in our swim lessons, so it is waitlist only. This is our very first season, so we're looking to possibly make adjustments as the season continues. We have 2 additional swim sessions coming up later in this month and the first 2 weeks in July. So we encourage parents that are still interested, please don't be afraid of the wait list. We might be able to pull from that wait list as the summer continues. We do have recreation swim that is available Monday through Thursday as well as Saturday. Lap swim that also offers a membership or a season pass for a nominal fee. And I encourage anybody who's interested to please go to our registration website, cityofmenifee.us/register, because pre-registration is required. So we want to make sure we know exactly how many people we're going to have in the pool. We want to maintain our safety ratios with our lifeguards and water safety instructors. So we're encouraging registration. If there's any questions, feel free to call our community services main line, our office as well. We'll be happy to walk any of our residents through any of these potential opportunities to participate in our programs. Also coming up in the fall, we are taking registration for our youth flag football program. It is scheduled to start in August. And again, we encourage anybody who are youth that are looking to get a taste of recreational flag football to come on out and join us. Relatively low cost for a number of games and practices with our coaches. And along those lines, we are also going to be recruiting for volunteer coaches to help run this program. Moving on to our upcoming events. This Friday, we have Go Skate Day along with our first movie in the park. So on Friday, June 21st at Audie Murphy Ranch Sports Park, we're going to be hosting a free day, free access. It's actually National Go Skate Day to the Audie Murphy Ranch Skate Park. At 4 p.m., we have food vendors that'll come out. It's kind of going to be an all-day deal, so we encourage families to come out and join us at whichever time suits our residents. And then we do have our movie that's going to be closing out the event, and from the community vote, it is going to be The Goonies, which will begin at dusk. So again, encourage anybody who's interested in these alternative sports to come out and join us. Our next movie in the park is going to be on July 19th. The theme is going to be Alternate Universe. This will also be community vote for the movie. So we encourage anybody who hasn't voted, please scan that QR code or head over to our special events website at cityofmenifee.us/special events, and you can go ahead and vote for the next movie taking place at Underwood Park at 7 p.m. And then our biggest event of the year. We're really excited about Independence Celebration, which is coming up next week, Saturday, June 29th at Wheatfield Park. We've got a number of things. The parade will begin at 4 p.m. with fireworks shows starting promptly at 9, food vendors, arts and crafts, lots of opportunities to engage with city representatives, a number of booths, as well as our headlining entertainment, which is Stone Soul, which is a relatively well-known Motown act in and around Riverside County. And so hoping that everybody will come on out and join us for that day. We want to make sure that the residents are aware that there is going to be a road closure on La Piedra Road starting at 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. So there will be alternative directions if you're trying to get in and around the park. One thing we did add this year is that there is going to be a free shuttle from MSJC to Wheatfield Park. For those who kind of park in the outer parking lots, we'll make sure that we can get access to our residents to get into and closer to Wheatfield Park. So we're excited to be able to offer that. And then rounding out our summer events, we have our Shakespeare in Sun City. So typically this is something we would have in one of our parks like Central Park, but it's currently under construction. So we're partnering with the Sun City Civic Association and utilizing their amphitheater to host The Tempest. So this is going to be on July 26th at 7 p.m. And we encourage anybody who's interested to come on out and participate in that. We'll also have a number of art vendors and food vendors as well. So working with our local Arts Council of Menifee to partner with some additional entertainment that day. And last but not least, I'd like to make the announcement that our Parks Master Plan update is now an award-winning Parks Master Plan update. So the American Planning Association Inland Empire section honored the city of Menifee with a Merit Award for Comprehensive Plan in Large Jurisdiction for our Parks Master Plan. So our park and landscape manager, Bryce Howell, and myself had the honor of representing Menifee to accept the award, and we're excited that the document that will provide us guidance over the next 5 to 10 years in park development and recreation programming is recognized at the regional level. So I believe that concludes my report.
All right, Ms. Mitchell, thank you. Council members, do we have any questions or comments? Hearing none, we appreciate you giving us that great update. We're going to move on our agenda now. We're on item 6 is agenda approval. Madam Clerk, do we have any modifications to the agenda?
No modifications.
All right, council members, all in favor of approval of our agenda, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we're going to move on to item 7 now. This is public comments for our non-agenda items. First of all, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak? We do? Okay, so I'm going to just read this real quick. This is the time for members of the public to address the council about items that are not listed on our agenda. The Brown Act limits the council's ability to respond to comments on those non-agendized matters at the time they're made, and each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes on a single item. And I'll just note that there's a little clock there up on the screen, speakers, so keep an eye on that. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the first name.
Carmen Camcho.
You come to the podium over here, ma'am. And if you don't mind restating your name one more time, so we...
It's Carmen Camacho.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm a teacher in Temecula, and I spend most of my time in Temecula, but I live here in Sun City, what I consider Sun City, and I'm very concerned about the traffic that's going from Antelope into Sumner Road. I was in an accident there 2 years ago. Nothing's happened, but now we've had a death further up, closer to my house, and still nothing's happened. When these folks that were here, Gloria and her friends were here, when they go to sleep, it's like a racetrack that goes by there. Literally all night there's cars running through there, like if they're going on to the freeway, like going through all through by where I guess it'd be, LA Fitness, that whole road going all the way up there through our community, through the old elderly community over here, onto the freeway, and it continually goes all night. It's a safety concern not only for folks like myself. I mean, I still have to put on my camera, and I have a nice car with a nice camera, and I back out very slow. But there's also elderly people walking around. There's children next door to me who I'm very scared are going to get hit. I had a garage sale just recently, and everyone who stopped literally was almost going to get hit. So that's my big concern. Something has to happen. And I'm also concerned about the alcohol consumption in that Highgate area. It's just like continuous parties, and that's where a lot of the people are coming through. That's where my accident was, on Highgate. So I've gone to the police department, and they're looking, they keep saying they're going to do something, but it's a big concern. I know there's supposed to be in front of my house on 28433 Sumner Road, there's supposed to be a yield sign. They've been taken down. Something has to happen where either there's the curbs, like when we exit out, either red, I guess paint could be painted on our driveway, because I'm on the, if you go up, I'm on the left-hand side, so if there could be some paint painted so that we could actually get out where cars are not blocking, so we can drive out safely. So that's my big concern, is the Highgate area community and the alcohol consumption and the traffic flow through there. And I know Gloria, I mean, she left. I wish she would have been here to kind of hear this concern, so.
All right, thank you, Ms. Camacho. We appreciate you, and I know our Public Works team appreciates hearing your good suggestions, so thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, next speaker.
No other speakers.
Okay, we're going to move on now to council member updates and comments. This is item 8, and I'll start with Council Member Carwin.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me get my notes pulled up here. For some reason, they've disappeared. Oh, here we go. Well, I stopped by the grand opening of Ike's Sandwiches. I missed the official ribbon cutting because I had a day commitment, but I got there right afterwards, and there was a huge line. People were really excited about it. I got to talk to Adam, the general manager over there, and well received over in the Countryside Marketplace. The mayor and I participated in a fundraiser golf tournament for Habitat for Humanity. The mayor and I were also at a Chamber of Commerce mixer at Buffalo Wild Wings that was well attended. They always get a good attendance there. The mayor and I also were at the Wake Up Menifee Chamber event at Chick-fil-A, which almost made us late for the following event that we were all at, which was the police department awards ceremony and the swearing in of new officers, which is always a fantastic event. So, and I also just want to give a shout out to our IT department for the wonderful sound tonight. It sounds great tonight, and they made an adjustment so we can hear it, and people aren't asking if the microphone is on anymore. So that's fantastic. I appreciate that responsiveness, and that's all I got.
Excellent, thank you. We'll go to Councilmember Estrada.
Yes, thank you. I also attended the PD award ceremony a couple of days ago, and this entire council supports our police department, and it was great to see a great turnout from the rest of the community and sharing that time with their family members of the police. On June 13th, I went to the MAC meeting, the Winchester Municipal Advisory Committee meeting, and there they had the Director of Planning for Riverside County, and part of the maps that they show in draft, I know here we had a discussion about Winchester and annexation and stuff, but the Director of Planning for Riverside County had that Sun City parcel of land within Riverside County's plan to add that to Winchester. So I know there's still negotiations going, and that's not the final map. I'm just presenting to you guys what was presented there at the meeting, just for transparency. On June 14th, I went to the Salute to the Elected for a little bit, got to talk to our regional neighboring, our neighboring cities in the region and touch base with them. And then after that, I went to the Menifee Moonlight Market over at La Ladera Park. It was great, a lot of local vendors, local food. People enjoyed seeing the local band. Everyone was at peace, laying on the grass. And yeah, if you guys want to come out to the next Moonlight Market, it's next Friday night. There's going to be a movie at dusk. So come on out. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Sobek?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to share a little bit of a presentation, a few pictures. I also missed the ribbon cutting at Ike's and went there right afterwards. I'm surprised I didn't see you, but I did get to meet Ike. And thank you to our chamber for always doing those ribbon cuttings and welcoming those businesses into our city. I attended the Lake Elsinore Salute to Electeds and heard some great comments from our Senator Kelly Ciarto and one of our county supervisors. And they talked a lot about the things that we do as electeds, and that if we're going to keep family values and we're going to make a difference, we need to step up. And we need to be a voice, and that was a great encouragement. I attended Cal State San Marcos Blue and Silver event. I am on the Southwest Riverside Coalition to bring higher education to our area, 4-year, and we are building a great relationship with Cal State San Marcos that will be coming to our area. We just need to raise the rest of the funds for those. A few pictures. I attended as you heard tonight with our superintendent, attended a few graduations this last week, and I just want to say congratulations to all the high school seniors. It was wonderful to be there and to see the smiles on their faces and the excitement that they have looking forward to their future. And we just, talking to a lot of them, they're looking at going to Mount San Jacinto College right here in town. And so they have goals, and it was just great events. And just thank you to all of those administrators who put on a beautiful, beautiful graduation ceremonies. I also wanted to share a few pictures from yesterday's swearing in with our Menifee Police Department, our swearing in and awards. And I made, so we have here Eileen, and she received the police officer, she received the professional staff of the year. And the things that were said about her was that she is just a great pusher for wellness in the police department. She's a problem solver, she's selfless, and she's a great leader, and she's kind. And then there's a picture of our officers that were sworn in. And then we had our police officer of the year, Dustin Norwood. He's dedicated, problem solving. He has reduced traffic collisions in the city of Menifee. He has a dedication to the community. He's all about safety. He cares about his employees and employees' wellness. He's a team worker. A quiet demeanor. He respects others and shows great leadership. And then we had the Chiefs Award here. We have Jack, and I'm going to mess up his last name, Cordarian, something like that. Anyway, he has a positive attitude. He has made a positive impact to the parents and the students and the staff with the Romaland School District as an RSO officer. And he is all about resilience and just loves serving with the students there. So there were more awards, and I could go on, but I'm just so proud that we have a wonderful, wonderful men and women who work for our Menifee Police Department. And I just want to thank them for the service that they provide to our community. And that would be my report.
All right, very good. Mayor Pro Tem Dinas.
Thank you. Since my last council meeting, I was appointed on an ad hoc committee for the animal shelter JPA to look at their budget and other issues. We met twice in that ad hoc, and then I believe it's next week we'll have a special meeting of the JPA to discuss those things. I also attended a Southwest Teen Now meeting, RTA Board of Directors meeting, and the Menifee PD Awards ceremony along with everyone else. And then yesterday I attended Senator Ciardo's Veteran Advisory Committee, or Council. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. All right, so I'll try to be quick. This is since our last meeting, June 5th, a couple weeks ago. On Thursday, the 6th, I went to Herc Boris Elementary School. They're having an end of the year, and they do an annual soccer match where the 5th grade students play against the faculty. Our very own Commissioner Jeff Ledoux is the coach of the kids team, and they won. So congratulations to them. On that same day, there was a grand opening, and I presented a welcome certificate to Ike. His last name is Shahada, and he just brand new opened this Ike's Sandwich Shop over here, and it's great to be there to welcome him and his management team. And then I went to Audie Murphy Ranch Veterans Club and gave some city updates there as their guest speaker that evening. And then the next day, Friday the 7th, was Paloma Valley High School's graduation ceremony. Councilmember Sobek and I were there for that to congratulate our students. On Monday, June 10th, was the Habitat Golf Fundraiser at Menifee Lakes Country Club with Councilman Carwin. And on June the 7th, Tuesday, there was a community partners meeting over at the Menifee Library, and there was about 60 of our local service organizations that were there sharing all the great events. And I encourage our council members, if you get a chance, try to come to a community partners meeting. You're going to be blessed to be able to meet so many great volunteers in this community. That afternoon was a chamber mixer at Buffalo Wild Wings, and Councilman Carwin and I were there. And then I went over to Courts Park, where I visited with City SC Soccer Club. They're a club league, but they represent Menifee. They're in the Elite Club League, and they won the championship this year. So I went there to cheer them on and thank them for all their hard work. And then after that, I went to Quail Valley Community Group meeting, where I got to speak to the folks that were there, and Councilman Estrada was there at that one. So add that one to your list. And then Wednesday, June 12th, RCTC Commission, I was at that. And then the next day, Thursday the 13th, was our Chamber of Commerce hosts what they call the Keep Business Walk. And we get together in the morning, and a lot of the ambassadors and and chamber members and board members go out and physically visit each business here in our community. So I joined them for that, and thanking them for being here, asking how the chamber and the city can help them. It was just a wonderful morning to be out there with our businesses. And then, let's see, our Rotary Club, I went to that meeting, and the speaker was our Chief Carr and Justin Matoyer from the Ninth Shield, and he's also one of our volunteer officers. And then I assisted with activities for the kickoff for the summer camp at Boys and Girls Club. It was their 10-year anniversary, and it was great to be able to be there with the kids. That was June 14th, and in the afternoon, our local car club, they're called the Sun City Cruisers. They went to Sun City Gardens and blessed them by bringing their cars there, and they asked me to come and share some thoughts there as well. And then that night was the salute to the electeds at the Lake Elsinore Chamber of Commerce, and Councilmember Sobek and I enjoyed having some great conversations with some of the folks that were at our table. On Saturday, the 15th, I presented the Mayor's Team Player Award at Boys and Girls Club Sports Banquet in the morning, and then I went over to MSJC. As I mentioned earlier, it was their 3rd annual Juneteenth celebration, and I'll tell you, 3 years ago, there was about 25, maybe 30 people that were there. Last year, there was about 100, and this last Saturday, there was probably 600 people there dancing and singing and celebrating. And it was just really great to be there in support. And then I went over to Sun City Library for a history program that was there, and I caught kind of the tail end of that. And June 18th was Tuesday, and there was a chamber wake-up mixer at Chick-fil-A with Councilman Carwin and our police department awards ceremony. So that's that. Anybody else have anything that they want to add? All right, so we're going to move on our agenda now. As you can see, it's been a busy couple of weeks here for all of us. But that's great. That's what we are committed to do. All right, we're on our item 10. I'm sorry, let me get going here. Make sure I'm in the right place. We're on item 9. That's the approval of minutes from June the 5th. Any changes or modifications? Hearing none. All in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, our June 5th minutes are approved, and we're on item 10 now, the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a council member requests a separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. If it's removed, it'll be discussed individually and acted upon separately. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on our consent items?
Not as of right now.
Thank you. Council members, if there's any items that you'd like to pull.
I would like to pull 10.20.
Okay. Any others? Can I get a motion to approve the balance, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we'll do our electronic voting. And that passed unanimously. We're going to move to the polled item 10.20. It's the agreement amendment with Animal Friends of the Valley for animal field services. And I see Captain Gutierrez heading to the podium, so thank you, sir, for joining us. Councilmember Sobek, you asked for this request to pull.
Yes.
Did you want a presentation, or do you have questions?
You know, just a few comments and maybe a question or two, but I was glad to hear that Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Dinas is going to be on the ad hoc finance committee, because I do see that the increase of the contract went quite a bit, up from $719,000 to $1,646,000. And that does go through June 30th, 2027. But, you know, we used to have, it looks like we need, because it's based on volume. So they're servicing our citizens in our city, I guess, a lot. And we used to have like a chip day where people could bring out their animals, a spay and neuter coupon day. There was just information for our residents, and I'm wondering, since it's based on the volume, that maybe we can do some education in the city. That's, you know, to get this it's just high. So maybe that was my question.
Yeah, you bet. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I guess I'll speak to the staff report here first. There really is a very small increase. So the initial contract, this is solely for field services. This is not part of the JPA and sheltering services. So the year one, we paid $225,000, which was back in fiscal year 2021. And then for 3 years, it stayed steady at $234,000 per year. What we're doing here is just extending this service contract for an additional 3 years. So fiscal year 24-25 will stay at the $234,000, and then the second fiscal year and third fiscal year within this extension, they did build in a 2.5% riser just for cost of living increase, wage increases and material costs and things like that. But this is solely for field operations. There is an increase, there is a proposed increase to the JPA sheltering services based on that volume. I can tell you we had a meeting today, and our volume into the shelter is actually down, but based on the total number of animals, 7 cities wide, our percentage went up slightly, and it's due to a few reasons. Councilmember Dinas will be attending the board meeting, and they'll be talking about that. So that's something we can bring back if there's any questions there. To the point of education, we did talk about that, and we're looking to do some more of those events in the community for sure.
Okay, great. So that was misleading then a little bit from my understanding of reading the staff report, so I apologize for that.
That's okay.
But having some education, we haven't had any for a long time, so maybe we could look at that.
I'm sorry?
Chief, come on up.
Yep, come on, Chief.
You love that microphone.
So to address the public education piece, IT is already teaming up with Animal Friends of the Valley to create PSAs for the public about spaying, neutering, welfare of all animals. So that's already starting in production in July.
So it looks like we're all on the same page. So.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for that. That's all. That's just my comments, and I don't know if Mayor Pro Tem, you have anything you want to add?
As the captain said, this is strictly for field services, and it's broken down by hours of the day and things like that. As the sheltering is another aspect of it, and yes, our percentage, the cost of the shelter is divided out by the percentage of animals from each participating agency that's involved, and ours has gone up. At our last meeting, there was a question was, why are some of the cities going up when others aren't? And AFV's explanation were 2 things. Those that had more vacant land and undeveloped areas there's more animals being captured there and taken in. Second, for Menifee at least, a lot of owner turn-ins because of either they're moving or because they can't afford to keep the animal anymore and things like that. So those are things that are driving up the cost. So I think if we can do the spay or neuter and more education, hopefully that will keep the number of animals that the field services capture and keep that down and lower our sheltering costs as well.
Great.
Mayor Pro Tem, can we extend an invitation to Officer Monique Middleton to kind of come and give us a little brief update? I know there's a new expanded facility there in Lake Elsinore and all of that.
Yes, they have their own spay and neuter clinic there now.
That'd be great to hear about. So
we'll do that.
Yeah, we used to hear from her on a regular basis when we had a public safety committee meeting, and maybe we could
let's invite her.
She'd be happy to do that.
Yes, so thank you. So I'll go ahead and pass 10.20.
Okay, we got a motion, and I'll second that. And that passed unanimously, so we are going to move on now. We're on item 11. This is our public hearing items, and there's 2. Our first is 11.1. It's the annual levy for the existing county service areas for our fiscal year 24-25, and I see our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Hickey's here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council, residents. The item we have before you tonight is a public hearing for the annual charges for our county service areas. So the county service areas were inherited by the city upon the incorporation. And in 2008, there are 6 different CSAs, as we call them. The CSAs provide a variety of services, primarily landscaping, street lighting, but also some law enforcement and road maintenance and park services. Again, there's 6 different CSAs. The total proposed assessment for all 6 is about $1.9 million. This is a breakdown of the 6 different CSAs. You can see in the table the number of parcels, the total levy for each CSA, the total there of just over 1.9 million. On the left, you see the CSA number along with the services that are provided to the particular CSA. Kind of where we're at in the process, it starts a couple of months ago developing the budget for the next fiscal year. At the May 15th council meeting, the council passed a resolution of intention to hold this public hearing, which we're doing tonight. So we're on step 3. Upon approval of the resolution tonight, we will finalize the enrollment package to submit to the county, and then that final submittal needs to take place no later than August 10th to include the assessments on the tax rolls for fiscal year 24-25. So in summary, this is a step that's required in the process to place these assessments on the tax rolls. The resolution, if passed by the council tonight, will allow us to finalize that package and place the charges on the tax roll for 24-25. So our recommended action is to conduct the public hearing, which we're doing now, and for the council to adopt the resolution ordering the levy and collection of charges for fiscal year 24-25 for the CSAs.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hickey. And as he mentioned, this is something we do every year. So council members, do we have any questions of our staff? Hearing none, I'm going to open the public hearing. It's 7:14. Madam Clerk, was this legally noticed, and do we have any correspondence?
It was legally noticed. No correspondence has been received.
All right, and do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No public comments.
I'll close the public hearing at 7:14. Council members, any discussion, or can I get a motion what we'll be doing? Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Quick question. I know you went through the last slide kind of quick, but you said there was a $46,000 transfer into CSA 145 from the general fund. What is CSA 145 and the reason for the transfer?
So CSA 145 is the largest of the districts, and there's a maximum amount that can be assessed on all of those parcels. The annual cost for that district exceeds those maximum assessments, and so as part of the budget, we have built in that $46,000 essentially a subsidy from the general fund to pay the full expenses of CSA 145. It was factored into the 24-25 amended budget that we approved, so it's already sort of accounted for in the general fund, but the maximum assessments for that district fall a bit short of the annual expenses.
Has this been happening in prior fiscal years as well? Just is this continuation of the budget? That's why you're budgeting it every year?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been there for many years. We really wanted to, highlight it a bit more and make sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a motion to adopt the resolution ordering the levy and collection of charges for the CSAs. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hickey, and that passed, but please don't leave, because our next item is 11.2, and this is the annual levy for our LLMDs, 89-1C, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. So this is very much similar to our last presentation. So this is for LLMD 89-1-C, and like our CSAs, this LLMDs were inherited with the city's incorporation. You can see the map on there. It's really one LLMD, but it has many zones within it, broken down into Volume 1 and Volume 2. And these are a bit more limited in terms of the services. Primarily, it's just landscaping and street lighting services. And amongst all of those zones, the total assessments is just under $900,000 for the year. Again, very similar process. We got together to look at the budget for all the different zones. On May 15th, the council passed the resolution of intention to hold this public hearing, which we're doing at tonight's meeting. If we pass the resolution, we'll finalize that packet and forward it to the county by their deadline of August 10th to include the charges on the tax rolls for fiscal year 24-25. Again, this is just a required step in the process to finalize these assessments and place them on the roll. And I won't breeze over it so quickly at this one. We do have one of the zones as well that is the assessments do not cover the total charges for Zone 3. And so there's a $73,900 budget in the general fund to fully fund the cost of the Zone 3 services. So.
Mr. Hickey, on that Zone 3, it seems like I remember last, when we were setting this, we talked about adding some more tree trimming and all. Is that the reason for that? That's what this is, right?
I think that was a part of it, but I think that each of the zones and part of setting the assessment rates is kind of building a reserve to fund future improvements and so forth. But Zone 3 doesn't have that fund balance, and so even though we may have some extra tree trimming one year, I think we're going to continually be faced with potentially a shortfall from year to year.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, and the contribution from the general fund then, is that been growing every year? And do you foresee continued growth where the general fund will continue to be required to contribute larger dollar amounts every year? Or is this an anomaly because of the current economic environment?
You know, I don't have all the history. We have our tax consultant here, but I would guess that the costs would tend to go up over time, but maybe Mr. Spicer can comment on that.
Great. Shane Spicer, Spicer Consulting, thank you. No, this is due to the fact that Zone 3 does not have an escalator. It's one of the original zones that the county had when it formed this LMD, and it does not have an escalator to keep up pace. This has pretty much been the ongoing overcharge or extra cost to the zone.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, Shane, is there a remedy for that? I mean, can a council amend?
It would have to, it would require a vote to the property owners, a Prop 218 proceeding, which would require a long process and costly event for that to happen. Challenging, something we can explore for sure, but it's something that would require us to evaluate the costs to the benefits.
Thank you for the answer.
And Mr. Spicer, I just want to thank you this time in the report. I like the map. That makes it really nice to be able to understand where those districts are. So thank you for adding that.
You're welcome.
Are we legally obligated to provide services greater than what's collected?
In that case, in this case, I believe the majority of these are streetlights. So there is a give and take, liability for turning off lights. To that extent, it's a council decision on whether or not to cut services to match to revenues. That's something that can also be explored of what would that mean to ratchet that back. But this one has been consistently short on funding.
Yeah, without the, okay, thank you.
I got another question because I'm just learning here, Shane. Let's say within that LMD, there's new development that comes in, maybe new neighborhood or housing tract within that boundaries of that area. Are they held under the same criteria and collection amounts and those kinds of things?
So for new development, and we've been doing this with the CSAs as well, when we bring them online, what we're doing is we're putting them into a CFD and taking them out of these older districts. So we are remedying that by including an escalator covering those future costs. So the solution is to remove them from the old district as undeveloped, put them into the new district and cover our costs.
Got it. Okay, that's where I was going with it.
Mayor,
other questions or comments?
can
Sure.
I ask one more question? So it would be interesting to know how much that area has saved with the change of our streetlights, going from the more economic streetlights, the what are they called? The LEDs compared to the others. It just might be some good information to see how we've been able to maybe save a little bit.
Interesting on that note, and I think this is where we, through the financing, we're paying debt to pay off that retrofit, and so there really isn't a cost saving currently. It pretty much offsets. When that debt does get paid off, it's anticipated that those costs will come down and there will be a savings.
That will be great. So right now, the savings is covering what we're paying. Okay, thank you.
The term of that debt's 30 years?
I believe so.
15?
Yeah, I think it's about 20.
20, okay. Any other comments, questions, council members? All right, thank you, Shane. Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. It is 7:23. Madam Clerk, was this legally noticed? Do we have any correspondence?
It was, and we do not.
Okay, and do we have any requests to speak from the public on this item?
No, we do not.
All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing, 7:23. Council members, any more discussion or a motion to adopt the resolution ordering the levy and collection of assessments within the LMD 89-1C?
So moved.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Sorry, council, give me just one moment.
And that passed unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Hickey. All right, we're moving on our agenda. Now we're on item 12, discussion items. There are three. We'll start with the first one, 12.1, Menifee Citizens Advisory Committee Composition Amendment. I believe Councilmember Sobek had requested this, and I'm going to turn it over to our city clerk, Ms. Rosine, to present the item.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. Tonight, I'm here to follow up on that future agenda request regarding the composition of the Menifee Citizen Advisory Committee. So tonight, I have a brief presentation for you. So as a quick recap, MCAC, as we like to call the Menifee Citizens Advisory Committee, serves as an advisory body to the City Council regarding our CDBG program. It reviews CDBG public service nonprofit applications and makes recommendations for funding. And lastly, they do help select our Menifee Citizen of the Year. Also, as we discussed in 2015, when it was established, it was an 8-member committee. And then in 2020, we did do an amendment that created established it as a 6-member committee. And then in February of this year, the City Council provided direction to staff to revise the resolution, which brings us here tonight to review the proposed amendments. So the proposed amendments before you tonight is to adjust the committee to a 5-member committee with at-large positions, which means they will not be restricted to specific council districts. And then additionally, existing commissioner or committee members that would like to stay on the committee would be eligible at the council's appointment. The requirements, like some of our other committees and commissions, is they are required to be a Menifee resident, a registered voter within the city, agree to the council's code of ethics policy, participate in a biannual AB 2034 ethics training, and because they are participating and making recommendations regarding funding, they would be required to file a conflict of interest or Form 700. Some items that are not changing within this are their regular meetings, which are 3 times a year, and they would still serve a 2-year term with no term limits. Additionally, the council did receive a red folder item cleaning up some language in the Exhibit A of the proposed resolution. After further review, the resolution, it was determined that there was an inconsistency with Section 2G and Section 3D6 regarding the absences and option for removal of the committee member. Staff is proposing the amendments noted here to address those inconsistencies. Section 3D6 would be removed in its entirety, and the verbiage shown in red would be added to Section 2G, which just outlines that the committee members are expected to be present unless excused by a staff liaison or chairperson, and any committee member with 1 or more unexcused absence within the 12-month period could be removed by their appointing council member with a recommendation from a majority vote of their committee. If the council does adopt the proposed resolution this evening, the committee would be added to the city's application, and this fall we would start accepting applications. This year, the City Clerk Department will be holding our biannual recruitment where we invite interested citizens to submit their applications for committees and commissions. In the presentation, you'll see a general timeline leading to the committee's first regular meeting. So starting in October, we would do a call for applications. And then after the certification of the election, the council members would be provided the applications for all of those committees and commissioners that are interested. The appointment would then take place generally the second meeting in January. And then MCAC's first regular meeting would be scheduled for March of 2025. The existing committee would still be the ones to review and select our 2024 Citizen of the Year. So with that, I'm available for any questions from the council.
Questions, council members?
I have one quick question on this selection process where it's at large. Usually the way it works, we get the binder with people that have that's put their their name in to be selected, and generally, I don't know how everyone else does, either interview them or choose someone. I guess the question is, why don't we all decide on what's the same person or two of us? I mean, what kind of coordination will there be to ensure, we give you the name and say, oops, sorry, but someone else already picked that name, you got to go. I mean, I can see some confusion there, but.
It's a really good point, Mayor Pro Tem. As we get to that process, we can look a little bit further into that and ensure that we don't have any overlap in a selection.
Call it the great experiment. Okay, thank you.
We do it now with our commissions because commissions are at large. So we can make sure that it's not.
Any other questions? All right, Madam Clerk, any requests to speak or correspondence on this item?
No, we do not.
All right, any other discussion or thoughts, council? How about a motion to adopt the resolution modifying the composition and appointments of the MCAC?
I'll make a motion, we approve item 12.1.
Okay,
Okay,
go ahead.
I'll second.
And just to clarify, that does include the amendments in the council's red folders.
As amended, yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes, I second that.
You second it, good. Thank you, Stephanie, well done. All right, that passed unanimously. We're gonna move on to the second discussion item. This is 12.2, and this is our Menifee housing studies. And I see our director, Ms. Kitzrow, is at the helm, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, audience, members of the public. Cheryl Kitzrow, Community Development Director here. Pleased to present to you the Menifee housing studies that have been prepared to implement program actions from the city's housing element. During this presentation, I will be joined by our consultant, Steve Ganells, who is here with us from PlaceWorks. But we'll split the presentation for you. So let me jump right in with some background information for you before we get into the studies. So as a reminder, the City Council adopted its sixth housing element cycle that covers the 8-year period from 2021 to 2029. As part of that housing element, the city is required to accommodate land for the future construction of our Regional Housing Needs Assessment Number, or known as RHNA. You can see on the table here, our total RHNA for that 8-year period is 6,609 units. And as part of the housing element, those units are divided by income category. And you could see this table is actually what was presented as part of our recent annual progress report showing production that has occurred in the last couple years. So again, as part of the RHNA, it is an opportunity to provide housing types at different income levels. Important to note that existing affordable housing projects in the city were built prior to the city's incorporation. In order to gain credit for any affordable units during the planning period, the 8-year cycle, they have to be constructed during that time frame. Affordable housing typically requires many approaches. There are federal funds that are available for housing production. A lot of cities use funds from their former redevelopment agencies that have become housing authorities. Density bonus, inclusionary housing, zoning and in lieu fees, which we'll talk a little bit about later in the presentation, linkage fees, linking commercial development to residential, or local housing trust funds. So why are we here tonight? In the adopted housing element, we included 2 program actions which required the city to study the housing market and impacts and inclusionary housing feasibility. So we used grant funds. We hired a consultant, PlaceWorks, to prepare the studies. And so with the completion of these studies and the presentation tonight, we've accomplished 2 of those programs in our housing element. Programs were just to do the studies. So again, 2 studies were completed. One is a market impact study that looks at the demand for housing, a lot of demographic information, the types of housing, constraints and barriers to housing. And then the second study is looking at the feasibility of doing inclusionary, whether it's a zoning ordinance or an in lieu fee. Talks about the requirements for adopting such an ordinance, looks at the feasibility from a market perspective of how such a fee or a requirement would impact the potential residential development of different types of housing, and then provides recommendations for the next steps. So at this time, I'm going to invite Steve up to walk you through the results of both of those studies, and then I'll come up at the end of the presentation, talk about next steps and options.
All right, welcome, Mr. Gunnels.
There were a lot of people when I first came into the meeting. I was thinking, wow, a lot of people interested in housing, and now we've whittled it down a little bit. I'm very optimistic that everybody is here just for this, so I'll try and be informative but quick in case there's something else on the agenda you're waiting for. Yeah, so we did 2 parts to this. The first part was really looking at the housing market in Menifee. I'm not going to try and summarize everything that's in there. It's just kind of what are the key findings. We do provide a lot of discussion about how demographics are changing. And this really is, over the long term, we're probably going to see this decrease in housing size and the types of housing that's needed to be built. The second finding relates back to that first one, though, because Menifee, one of the strengths of the housing market in Menifee is that developers can still build what they label attainable housing that's not too expensive, pricing people out of the market. And that helps attract families to Menifee. So the influx of what you're seeing in new residents in new housing is going to be larger household sizes than the average. But that's offset by what's happening with the existing residents who are here and renters that are moving in over time. And so we do see that fall off in the housing size, and a lot of that comes directly from the decrease in birth rates that we're seeing nationally and in California since 2007. So that is probably the single biggest demographic change that's happening in the housing market, and we will probably over time see that reflected in the housing products that get built. And then the third finding is, there's still demand for the single family housing. There's a lot of that that's developers wanting to continue to build here. The other thing that we're seeing in Menifee is very little in the way of multifamily construction. And we looked at this extensively in our study. We talked to a lot of developers, realtors, and we kind of concur with the developers' take on this, that it's just that the market conditions aren't right for multifamily yet. If you look at, say, Temecula and Murrieta, they had a long track record of building single-family housing, and as they started to build that out, that's when the multifamily, the condos, the townhouses started growing, and now that's kind of majority of what's being built to the south. And there's still opportunities, Riverside and Corona, for multifamily developers to build the same product at a nearly same cost, but they're still going to get a higher rent. So they're just not as ready to bring multifamily here, and it's probably a matter of time to see that start to filter into Menifee. Ah, I got the right button, yay. We took a more in-depth look as part of your housing element. You looked at constraints to development, and we went a little more in depth at that and looked at everything. And we don't really find anything that Menifee's doing as a constraint to development that's inhibiting development that otherwise would come. The one thing we do point out, though, is that where you have high-density residential zoning, which is the place you could build multifamily standalone. So you have the EDCs, but that's going to be as part of a mixed-use environment, and that market's not here yet. Where you do have the high-density residential, it's farther away from the activity centers, and so when multifamily developers are looking to bring investment into that product type to Menifee, they're probably going to be more interested in having some sites to develop closer to the activity centers in Menifee. So that would be the one thing we see coming out of this that the city could take a closer look at to kind of help induce some of that multifamily development. Oh, yeah. And so that brings us to the second part, which is the inclusionary housing feasibility study. So inclusionary housing is something that a jurisdiction would put into its zoning code that would say when you build housing, when a developer proposes a project to build housing, a certain percentage of what they build must be affordable to lower income households. And we'll get into some of these details as we go along. And as a complement to that, the state has a density bonus law, and you, as required, have mimicked those provisions in your existing zoning, that says when a developer builds affordable housing, they can build extra units and go above the density limitations that are in the zoning. The idea being that they build more market rate housing, they get more profit to offset the reduced profit, well, the subsidy that they're going to be offering to build the lower income housing. So that's what we're talking here about with this part of the study is this feasible in Menifee given the market conditions? Oh, and that's kind of what I was just talking about. As a part of doing inclusionary housing, a jurisdiction is required to have at least one alternative means of compliance. That's almost always a housing in lieu fee. So if a developer looks at their project and goes through the numbers and says, we just can't make this work to build the affordable units, they would have an option of paying a fee to offset those affordable units. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the density bonus that they're entitled to, they only earn that density bonus if they build the affordable housing. If they pay a fee, they don't get a density bonus going with that. And really what we're looking at is trying to strike some balance between the constraints the developer faces in building a project. The typical developer has to get equity investors from a national market that are just looking for a return and not too concerned about where that is, just how much of a return will I get for my money. They're trying to bring those people on board to help pay for the project and balance what it takes for them to develop new housing with kind of the community benefit of having affordable housing units in the city. One of the affordable developers we've worked with, they've done a survey of who lives in their affordable housing projects. And it runs the gamut of what you might or might not think. So it's teachers and nurses, but it's also fast food workers, retail workers. So a lot of the people who may be working in Menifee might still need affordable housing. So what we did is we looked at 6 prototype developments, I'll explain those in a minute, and looked at that as a market rate project. If a developer was building this, how do the numbers shake out for them? And then we said if that developer had to provide 15% affordable housing and got the density bonus, how do those numbers compare? So the 6 that we looked at a typical, what I refer to as large lot, a kind of conventional residential subdivision. And then we looked at some of what's being built in some other places, which are smaller housing units on smaller lots. We looked at townhouses, condos, which are multifamily with apartments above and below. But they're for sale, and then the for-rent multifamily, and then we looked at that mixed-use product type and what it takes for that. And we also wanted to evaluate the impact of what paying an in-lieu fee would do to these projects, not just the impact of actually providing the affordable housing. And so what we've looked at is every single affordable housing project I know has been built using federal low-income housing tax credits. And in the year prior to this study, there were 5 or 6 of these built in Riverside County. And we use these because the construction costs in western Riverside are going to be, it's going to be the same wherever you go. And the incomes are all, for who's eligible, are all set at a countywide basis. And as we looked at these, the average development cost per affordable unit was $405,000. Now, when an affordable housing developer builds a project, the residents are paying rent. They're just paying a lower rent that is 30% of their income, which is going to be substantially less than what they would probably be able to afford just going to a market rate rental unit. But there's income coming into that project the same as there is with a market rate. And so the affordable developer, just like a market rate developer, goes to a bank and says, here's the income stream I'm going to have. How much can I borrow? And on average, they're borrowing about $81,000 per unit. And their federal tax credits average about $175,000 per unit. So for the 5 most recent projects in Riverside County, of that $405,000 that it costs per unit, they needed to scrounge up another $148,000 per unit from a variety of sources. And for the affordable developer, getting those federal tax credits might take 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. But when we talked to them, what they said was, we're confident we can get federal tax credits to build affordable housing in Menifee. We're confident we can get the bank financing. Our challenge is trying to get all of these other funding sources together and hold their commitments for the 2 or 3 years it takes to get the federal tax credits. so that if the in lieu fees the city brought in were $148,000, they were convinced they could get the tax credits and the bank financing to go with that to build an affordable unit. So if we take the perspective of if a developer is not going to build an affordable unit, how much money would the city of Menifee need to get in order to go to an affordable developer and get that affordable unit built? And that works out to $148,000. And so we up that for CPI to $154,000 in current. So when we...
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit lost.
Okay.
For the in lieu fee, first of all, who does that get paid to?
The in lieu fee, if you go through with all this, it gets paid to the city. It's so if the developer isn't going, if you do this, if the developer is not going to build the affordable housing that your zoning requires, they're going to pay you a fee.
That we would use to subsidize another developer who's willing to do it?
Yes, to subsidize, more than likely, a developer who specializes in affordable housing.
And a developer who isn't going to develop affordable housing, who pays the in lieu fee, aren't they taking up acreage that we have designated for affordable housing? Doesn't that cut down on our compliance for RENA?
Yes and no. This, if you have an inclusionary requirement...
Well, if they pay the fee, then they get a credit for that being allotted as affordable housing.
Well, where I was going is it would apply everywhere. Now, if you have a site you've identified in your housing element for affordable housing, they aren't required to build affordable housing there. You know, that could be just all market rate development, but they more than likely are going for bigger tracts of land where they can build a lot more housing than the affordable sites identified in the housing element.
We still get credit for every unit that is built. It depends on the rent or sale price as to which category in the RENA, right, that we can attribute that unit towards. So just because, so the state says high density housing, you can count towards your low and very low numbers. But in reality, when it's built, a high density project that is built at market rate will get applied to our moderate or above usually.
So hypothetically, if all of our low income set aside property is built by developers who don't build affordable housing and all pay the in lieu fees, and then it's all used up, what happens to the in lieu fees?
So even as it gets all used up, the next housing cycle is going to come around and we're going to have to identify opportunities for additional higher density affordable projects.
So would there be a time when we would have to decline in lieu fees and say, nope, we're out of space, we can't take your alternate building and in lieu fees because we need actual units?
I think it just becomes a more creative exercise. So in the future, perhaps when the market is ready for vertically integrated residential mixed use, those may be sites where additional affordable units could be constructed vertically, right? So as we run out of vacant land that is only designated for residential, it's a timing thing. I don't think we would get to a point where we would have to say no more fees, but maybe we reevaluate what it looks like as we go through the next housing element cycle, sorry.
And also, if you have an identified site. Well, I'm asking you the question. I want to make sure that, because I don't know the ins and outs of what's in your housing element off the top of my head, but generally, if you've identified a site in your housing element and said, this is our inventory for affordable housing, and a developer comes in and builds multifamily, but it's market rate, and it's not meeting those income requirements, you're going to be required to go find another site in the city and rezone it so you don't lose that capacity.
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
That answers my question, believe it or not.
A long way to get there. So that's the idea behind the in lieu fee. There's a number of ways to structure it. There's as many ways as there are cities that have inclusionary housing, but this is the way that, in talking with the affordable developers, the fees coming into you would offset the cost to actually get the affordable units built somewhere. So these are, on the left-hand side, you see the 6 scenarios that we looked at. And the first column here is it financially feasible as a market rate project? And so the first 5 were all financially feasible. Now, we were looking down the road a couple years. We were assuming about a 2% decline in interest rates, construction loan rates. Not that this is going to happen 6 months ago when we were putting all the numbers together. But, you know, the market rate stuff is financially feasible except for the mixed use and the higher construction costs that go along with that. Then we looked at the 15% affordable requirement. The state law says that the Department of Housing and Community Development can require a lot of stuff from you to evaluate your inclusionary if it goes over 15%. So most cities start with 15% and see if that works for them. So that's what we did. And then we, you know, ratcheted it down from there. And so as you can see, only 2 of the project types would be financially feasible to develop with a 15% inclusionary requirement. Townhouses and multifamily apartments, and you're not getting a lot of those today, so it's more or less not really financially feasible to require 15% with the housing products that are being developed today. And the same thing when we looked at the in lieu fee going along with that number of units. And so we ratcheted it down to 5% affordable. And with 5% affordable, if you allowed, that would be very low income housing if you go by the state density bonus law. You only get a density bonus for very low income if it's 5%. It could be 10% to get a density bonus for low income. But all of them with a 5% requirement, all except for the mixed use, would be financially feasible to develop with a 5% inclusionary requirement. The in lieu fee, as an alternative to actually building it, would not be feasible for condos, and it is not feasible for the large lot single family, but it was very close there. So when we looked at this and we said if you were to go forward, our recommendation was to use that 5% affordability requirement and use that in lieu fee. And I think that with the single family homes, you know, it may be that they have to pay a little bit less for the land in order to make it work with an in lieu fee, or they just build the inclusionary housing with their project. And we looked at how many inclusionary units would be constructed based on the build out of Menifee under the general plan. With the 15% requirement, that's 3,400 units, which is a little more than your current RHNA for very low and low, which is 2,800. But this is through the build out of the general plan. So even a 15% requirement, can't say what the state will do, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to soften too much on the number of units required in the next RHNA. it's not going to get you through the next RHNA. If we do 10% or 5%, the inclusionary requirement alone would still not meet the current RHNA requirement. So inclusionary housing, while it could help meet some of your RHNA, it's not going to be the only tool. It's not the savior that you're done with your responsibility on affordable housing. So just a quick example of how it all works out. If we just had a project that was going to be 100 housing units with a 5% inclusionary requirement, that developer would build 5 affordable units, would then get a density bonus that would put them over 100 units. If they opt to pay the in lieu fee, their obligation at 5% would be 5 affordable units. So that's $154,000 per unit that they're not building, which comes out to an in lieu fee for that 100-unit subdivision to be $771,000. That would be the in lieu fee they pay, which works out to $7,700 per market rate unit. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, it was in the bullet point. Technically, an inclusionary housing fee is not a development impact fee, but if you think of it as other development impact fees, that's what it works out to. $7,700 per unit is an increase in cost to the market rate developer. And based on the average size of newly constructed units, that works out to about $3.23 per square foot. And then the other important part to keep in mind is you have about 8,000 housing units that have been entitled. They've been approved for development, but they haven't been constructed yet. If you were to adopt an inclusionary housing requirement today, which isn't on the agenda, but if you were to do it today, it would not apply to those 8,000 units. Beyond those 8,000, your general plan build out would be another 22,800 housing units. And the inclusionary housing requirements would apply to those as they come in for entitlement. So going through all of that, what would an inclusion, you're free to construct it any way you want, but what makes sense based on the analysis would be a 5% inclusionary requirement. We recommended a threshold of 10 or more units for the project because you start getting into fractions, and trying to write that as into legislation as to what each fraction means. And then have that alternative means of compliance as an in lieu fee of $154,000 adjusted annually for the CPI. And allow the developer to do some inclusionary and for what they can't build to pay an in lieu fee. So they could figure that out, what give them the flexibility on a project by project basis.
So Mr. Gunnels basically just summarized all of the study findings. This was a factual exercise to explore the feasibility of an inclusionary program here. We wanted to provide you with that information, and now I'll give you a little bit more information on what other cities are doing, some pros and cons to inclusionary, and then some discussion points for the council to consider. So as an FYI and in your packet, we provided a table of other jurisdictions in the relative area within 20 to 40 miles that have adopted inclusionary ordinances in the past. I don't think any of them are very recent. The city of Riverside just spent the last couple of years exploring a proposed ordinance, and they did not adopt it as recently as a couple of months ago. Most of the cities in our local region in Western Riverside County do not currently have inclusionary housing ordinances. And for some cities, like I mentioned earlier, there are many tools that come into play for affordable housing development, and those tools that could be used to construct affordable housing is, that redevelopment agency, successor agency that has money set aside for affordable housing. As you increase densities, it becomes more financially feasible, or other federal programs, which at this time we do not qualify for. So some pros and cons. If we did consider an inclusionary zoning program, it would eventually lead to partnerships with affordable housing developers, which are specialized developers, and produce units. A con, it does add that additional cost on a per unit basis to the market rate developers, which potentially would reduce overall housing production if it was impactful to their financials. That added cost has the potential to be passed along to our future home buyers, and it could increase the cost of housing and make it less affordable overall on the market rate side. As part of this overall effort to prepare the studies, during the analysis component, the PlaceWorks team and our advanced planning staff, including Mr. Doug Darnell, who's here tonight, did interviews with both market rate and affordable housing developers. They talked to brokers, the financial markets, representatives. Once we had the draft studies prepared, we did present the findings and data to our developer stakeholder group as an information item. We also did a special outreach to the local BIA board and provided them a presentation with this information. And then this information was also presented to the Planning Commission at the end of May. The commission did acknowledge that, an in-lieu fee may impact the cause of housing, but acknowledge that providing housing for all residents is an appropriate mission. They supported looking into other options that may be a part of our toolbox for affordable housing as well. So tonight, again, we were primarily here to inform you of the results of these studies, let you know that we've completed them as required per our Housing Element Program actions, but to give an opportunity for the council to discuss and consider some options. If we were to move forward with the recommendations per the study, if we wanted to look at alternative options outside of the study's recommendation, look into other options, other tools that may be available as we move forward with implementing our housing element for affordable housing development, or the council can choose just to receive and file the studies, and we've done what we needed to do to comply with our housing element. That concludes our presentation, and we are all here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kittro. So council members, let's do questions. Let's try not to share our thoughts too much until we've heard public comments and heard the questions answered, and then we'll get into it. So we'll start first in the queue, Councilmember Estrada. Questions?
Hey, Director Kitzrow. Thank you for the presentation. The couple questions I do have, the in-lieu fee goes to the general fund, or it's a restricted fund that the city has to use to subsidize?
It would be a restricted fund only to be used for the production of affordable housing units.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is our housing element, if, let's say theoretically we put in a good effort to reach our numbers, and because of things out of our control and the market, we happen not to do that. What are potential scenarios, or what would happen after that?
So right now, state law requires the city, as part of our housing element, to designate sites that can accommodate the construction. There is no requirement that we need to construct and produce those 6,600 units, just that we've accommodated. So as part of our adopted housing element and the existing zoning that we put into place with that housing element, we have met that requirement to accommodate those future units.
Okay, thank you.
Next question, Councilman Carwin.
If IT could put up, I think it's slide number 16, the financial feasibility summary with all the thumbs up and down on it. Yeah, that one. Oh, go back one. There you go. One thing this chart does not have is an application of the recommendation being made, which is a combination of having inclusionary and in lieu fee. So does that change? So what's recommended here in the report is the 5% affordable with both elements included in the policy. Does that change this chart?
So you would have, if you do inclusionary, you would have that requirement, and you have to have at least one alternative means, which we suggest be the in lieu fee. The one thing we suggested is that you allow a mixture of both, and that was specifically because of the single family, that if they provide all 5% of the units on site, it would be financially feasible, but it would tip just into infeasible if they were foregoing the affordable units and paying a fee. So that's why we suggested you let them work with both. They could look at their project and figure out, can we do some and pay a fee? Because for the affordable developer, it's not in their wheelhouse to do affordable housing, to income qualify residents and go through all the paperwork that goes with that. They generally would rather pay a fee.
Right.
The market rate developer. But if paying the fee tips it to be infeasible, what we had suggested was let them figure that out on their project, because somewhere between those two is going to be a dividing line, right?
Right.
And we did not try and figure out where that specific dividing line was, just that somewhere in there, and that we would recommend give the developer the flexibility on a project by project basis to figure
So
that out.
by using this alternate method, the two methods in a policy, we give the developers a path to green on all 6 scenarios.
5. The
5.
The mixed use doesn't, we're still some way from mixed use being financially feasible.
And Ms. Kitzrow, thank you, that answers that question on this slide. One thing that I think you mentioned on the list of options for action by council, if we do nothing in response to this report and just take it as a receive and file and say thank you for the information, we're still in compliance with what the state requires us. So we're not required to take any of these actions.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Councilmember Sobek.
Thank you, Mayor. Because of the market effects that we've been experiencing, we've heard that Menifee, the builders, are still here and they're building houses, and all over they've kind of pulled out. Is there a history when California relooks at those RENA numbers coming up in the future years that they might take in that into effect, what we've been experiencing in the market effects? Have they done that before?
I don't know that there's a history that we get extra credit because we're producing more units. I think that's an argument we've tried to make in the past, but that doesn't necessarily play into the formulas that are used at the state and then at the COG level to define your requirements.
So as the market houses aren't being built, how would the state continue to put those mandates on cities when the market isn't allowing houses to be built?
Because the state's requirement is that we zone to accommodate it, not that we force the market to construct it.
Okay. All right. And then on the same slide that Councilmember Carwin had, I was wondering if that.
IT, can you pull it up again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that include age-restricted when it mentions like the townhomes and the small single-family condos? Would that include age-restricted, say, apartments and condos?
No, it's complicated. Under the state density bonus law, if you have age-restricted 65 or older, there's an assumption that it's all affordable and you get a density bonus. But for the RHNA, it's specific income requirement of who moves in there. So it would still depend on the actual rents or sales prices for the age-restricted housing, whether it qualifies. It doesn't automatically qualify under RHNA.
Okay, thank you.
They just wrote the laws at different times and had different thoughts and didn't meld the two together.
Councilmember Sobek, I think is the correct response.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem's next question.
Okay, thank you. You said that Menifee does not qualify for the federal home loan funds. Is that because we don't have a housing authority, or is there some other reason we don't qualify?
I honestly, I don't recall the specific reason, but when we looked into it, we didn't qualify.
Will we ever be able to qualify? I mean, I guess I wonder what those requirements are, and
Certainly as.
I mean, nice to have federal dollars instead of
right,
on the back of
opportunities.
developers and residents to do it.
Oh, here's Edna.
Here's the answer, lady.
Perfect
Yay.
timing, yes. Federal funding.
With the home funds, you have to meet certain criteria within the city itself. They have a huge formula, a difficult formula, but it takes into poverty. Here's some of the factors. It takes into the vacancy rental units. We don't really have a whole lot of vacancy rental units. Occupied rental units have to at least 4 problems: overcrowdingness, kitchen facilities. Let's see, numbers of family that are maybe too many in the one unit itself, population within the district itself, and how many are in poverty. It's a huge formula that unfortunately Menifee does not qualify, being that it's such a newer city and it's more of a non-poverty city, if I can say that.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies it.
Yeah.
Next question is, this whole inclusionary housing fee that we put, what's the aim of it? Are we aiming for the very low and low income, or the very low, moderate? I mean, who does this help?
It would be very low and low.
Okay. I can only ask questions. Okay, I'll keep that for later. My last one is, if we do the inclusionary fee thing here in lieu, especially the in lieu, and the developers start paying, I mean, realistically, how much do we have to accumulate in this restricted fund really to make a difference, and we can start putting it back in to subsidize housing? Because you get one developer that pays, you get maybe $1 million. That's not going to go too far. And how long is it? And if housing slows down because of the economy or something, we'd be sitting on that money for decades, waiting for something to happen.
It would be a long-term program. If I could have IT pull up slide 17. So I'm going to move. So with build out over the course of the general plan over the next 15 to 20 years, if we did the 5%, the calculations in the study say we would generate enough funds to build 1,100 units, which, as you see, still doesn't cover this current cycle's RHNA.
Okay,
So
but
it would be one opportunity to help construct
so
affordable.
okay, now help me understand this. Then the goal is to do the very low and low income.
Correct.
So does this not help the moderate income category?
It would not. It would be
Okay.
applied to
Well,
very low.
I guess some of the examples we gave of people that take advantage of their teachers and things like that, yeah,
Do you have the income categories?
I guess I'm wondering, how many teachers are in the, the low and very low income? Most, I would,
Right, so just for point of reference, in Riverside County, a family of 4 that would fall under the low income category would make $82,000 a year. In the very low, it would be a family of 4 making $51,250. So again, that median income is done across the county, across countywide. And so those, for the families of 4 in the low income category would be 82,000, and the very low would be 51,000.
out of curiosity, what would be the moderate income?
Moderate, 117, and the median is
I got a
97.5.
feeling those in the very low would think that's more than moderate, but 117 is more than a moderate amount, but, okay.
Well, that's a family of 4 also.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's all I have for now.
I had a question, and if staff or whoever's running the PowerPoint can go, I think it was the very second slide, and it actually was the matrix. There it is. That was it. Okay, and so I'm just curious about those 4 very lows and 4 lows.
ADUs and
It's
mobile homes?
it's just such a strange number that I'm curious if those are in separate locations or if they're part of an apartment complex that
No,
was actually set aside for.
They're individual units, whether they're ADUs or mobile homes.
Okay.
On individual lots.
I was just curious. And no, I'll save my comments. It's so tempting to want to say your thoughts, but okay, all right, we'll get that chance because we are now going to move, Madam Clerk. Do we have any requests to speak on this item from the public?
We do not, but the council did receive correspondence in your red folder.
I think I did see one from Tammy Marine at Habitat, so, yeah, thank you. All right, so, hey, we're at the place where we can discuss it now. Everybody take cleansing breath. Try not to, because I'm gonna just say this to staff, I'm gonna say this to Mr. Gunnels, you might hear us vent a little frustration, but it's not at you guys. We know we're all on the same team. The frustration might be with flawed science at the state and things like that. So you might hear those comments, nothing personal, okay? All right, so who would like to lead off? Maybe I will, having laid that out. All right, so someone who's brand new to this for the very first time are seeing these numbers and go, what's RENA, what is all this? But some of us have been doing this for quite a while. And I was a planning commissioner when we were in the 5th cycle of RENA. And I remember the rationale that was explained to us that the state is telling us that density equals affordability. And I was like, I just don't think so. I think we're going to get to the point where we have changed land use designations from a nice light yellow color, which is 7,200 square foot lots or 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre, and paint them brown instead, which is 24 dwelling units per acre. And if you do that, it will equal affordability. And then I see that chart that I just saw where there's a 4 there, and that should be like 4,000 or something if the state's rationale had any logic to it. And so that's my frustration. I know what's happening now is they're going, oh, that commissioner who we told to just be quiet, you're not ICP certified, you don't know, you're not a professional. He was right. And now we got to start adding some new things to force these cities to start producing numbers because our science was flawed and didn't work, and so we got to suddenly dance around now and try and make it happen. So I think that's what's happening today. I have concerns, and Mr. Gunnell said that the Program Action 29, that's the one that kind of evaluates the barriers and things like that. You found none. We're not doing anything wrong that's precluding some of the desired affordable places, especially because we're RENA compliant, right? We've done what the state told us to do. But then Program Action 30, that's the actual inclusionary feasibility study. It looks at some of the effects that might have an unintended adverse impact, right, to single-family development. And I would imagine that when you talk to stakeholders or you spoke with the BIA and some of those, that they were saying, hey, this could actually stifle development, and you could end up, what do they call it, shooting yourself in the foot or whatever, so in spite of your nose or whatever the thing is, trying to do something that ends up hurting you. And so that's a concern that I have.
Cut off your nose to
with
spite your face.
that. Thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna, I got a whole bunch more things I want to say, but I think you guys get where I'm coming with this. It's a little bit frustrating. I would like to have a little more time for all of us to consult with our city manager and with our planning team a little bit more before we do much more than receive and file this item. I'd like to have more time to kind of think about it, maybe see what some of the other cities are doing. Hey, we could be proven wrong, and this new method might have some effect. And I just want to add this. I am not opposed to helping people that are low income be able to find housing. It is a true fact that it is hard to afford even an apartment complex. Apartment today, a single bedroom apartment is, what, $2,000 or more a month? It's not affordable. And I know we're building a lot of them right now. I see over by the college, I think it's called Del Oro North, and there's two, but there's an age qualified like Councilmember Sobek was talking about, but there's a market rate one too. And I got a feeling we're going to get no credits for that. Not because it wasn't what they told us when they said, if you zone it high density and allow 4 or 5 stories and pack them and stack them, if you do that, we're going to give you RENA credits and you're going to qualify. And here we are doing that, and I think we're going to end up with 4 and 4 again in the box. Frustrating. And I know we have other apartment complexes that are also coming in other places. And so I just want to say that it's not fair that we were told you would be able to accommodate your low-income folks, and then we end up with by having high density, and we all want local control. We hear from residents that are saying, hey, we like having Menifee's kind of a single-family bedroom community, good place to raise your kids and all. We like having a yard and a little bit of space on the sides, and it's kind of what we're all sort of hoping developers are going to bring, but with this need to have high density, to have affordability, that's the goal. We were told high density is going to solve that, and unfortunately we haven't gotten anywhere with it according to our numbers. So again, I'd like to see if we can just simply receive and file, but that's just my opinion. Councilmember Carwin.
Saw a story today that Los Angeles is about to cut a ribbon on the largest conversion of an apartment building to homeless accommodations. It's a huge building, and it's got amenities like a gym and on-site resources and those kinds of things. And I feel like this legislation is designed for that kind of project. They see all this availability and they say, hey, convert it to make it so homeless people will have a place to stay, or people who are very low income will have a place to stay. And I really don't think the intended target of this is vacant land with new building on it. I don't think anybody with any kind of logic whatsoever says, well, a new build should be the most affordable housing. It's recycled housing, it's reusable housing, and we just don't have a lot of that, and so we're kind of stuck in the middle, and there has to be a solution. We've complied with what they want us to comply with, and I really feel like we put a restriction like this on our code, it's going to prevent people. The more requirements we have, I mean, even our consultants are talking about how complex this is. And I think people are, if everybody does it throughout the state, well, then everybody's on even footing. You know, if everybody around the state does it, well, then everybody has to deal with it, and we're not going to be behind the 8 ball because that's just a reality. But if that happens, the state should make that law and not us. So I agree with you, Mayor. I would like to take this as a receive and file for right now. I was concerned with the conversion of the RENA numbers before. We had talked to, our city attorney had told us about the penalties of not getting there, and that was a really big problem for us. But with this, we're in compliance. We don't need to take this step right now. And I feel like it's something that if a developer came in and said, hey, I want to convert this to whatever, we could say, hey, well, here's what you can do. We can always have that option, but to have it actually part of the code, I think, would scare people off at this point. So I'm in favor of a receive and file on this.
Thank you, Bob. Councilmember Estrada is next.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep my comments really short. I feel we're in compliance already. We're fulfilling our obligations. The state puts on the city's difficult requirements and makes business difficult to operate. So I'm in no rush to increase the density. Our constituents feel the same. And so no further action at this time. I'm in support of receiving and file.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem's next.
Yeah, I guess my concern is that this is just another $150,000 we add for developers to pass along to homeowners. You know, it's another you say, well, it's only $7,000 a home. Well, by the time you get all of our CFDs, all the school bonds, all the flood, and it adds up to where now we've essentially we're going to make it impossible even for the moderate income levels to even go and buy homes. You're going to, they're the ones who are going to have the problem. And considering the average income is for the city of Menifee is somewhere between low and moderate, we're never going to collect enough money from in lieu fees to take care of half our residents that would like to own a home but can't, because it says, according to our own the Menifee business website, that just about 77% of homeowners. So you've almost got a quarter of our residents that are not homeowners that love to be, but they're priced out. And if we added more fees on the homes, it's going to price out even more, which would need more people needing the low and very low income subsidy. So it's almost a never-ending circle here where we're chasing our own tail, or we're helping some and forcing the ones that may have done it into that loop because now the homes cost more. So I think there's too many unintended consequences to really to embrace this thing. So I think we just receive and file and I guess ponder it for a while.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next up is Councilmember Sobek.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, staff, and our consultant. Sorry, forgot your name there, so I apologize. But thank you for following the instructions we've been given by the state with our housing element to do this. I am concerned of the adverse impacts that's been shared, and the flaw that this does not include an age-restricted and disabilities part to it. We have 2 facilities in our city at this time that are age-restricted and for disabilities. One of them is the Vineyards at Menifee, which is on Winterhawk, which has a 3-year wait list at this time for age-restricted. 3 years. They have 15 units set aside for the HOPE program for Riverside County, and then they have income-restricted apartments. We have another facility called Halster Hillside Apartments, which they also have a 2.5-year wait list. That one is for 62 years old and older. And that one is based on the individual's income. So that is where I see there could be something needed in our city, and that doesn't even include that. So I agree with my colleagues that at this time where we're at as a new city, that maybe this is not the right time to do something like this, and just would like to do a receive and file.
Excellent. It sounds like all 5 of us are on the same page with that. I did want to just add one more thing for us all to kind of consider as we go forward. We all know that in the city of Menifee, up in certain areas in our northern portions, we have some future projects that are coming that might employ hundreds of people, but they're not real high-paying jobs that these larger industrial projects might have. And considering that, trying to maybe help these folks be able to live here in the future, those that might be making minimum wage, where there's 200 or 300 employees at a facility, to keep them from having to commute elsewhere to find affordable. We might want to just kind of consider that linkage fee, is what it's called, and it's like an impact fee, I guess, on warehouses or distribution centers that would employ 200 people that are making minimum wage, and we could ask them to be able to help us financially subsidize some affordable housing for their own employees, not to have to commute. So that's just kind of a thought.
So a little bit of attending a conference for logistics centers, they actually pride themselves on better pay than minimum wage. And they usually share that some of the IT now professional jobs that are needed to run some of the automated machines pay very well. They also say that usually it's a 2-member household that is working, and they say they do live in moderate income housing. So that was the report that I got from attending a conference.
Okay. I don't know what to believe anymore. All right, with that, I think we're at a place where we have given some direction, so let's go ahead and move on our agenda, council members. We're on item 12.3. This is our annual military equipment use report. I believe it's a receive and file item that we do annually. And our Lieutenant Paul Barbieri is on his way, so welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening. So I'm here to present our annual military equipment use report. Just a little bit of history. In January 2022, AB 481 went into effect and required municipalities, governing bodies, to adopt a policy regarding military equipment and to codify it through a resolution, which was done in May 2022 by this council. So some of the things that the bill requires is that an annual report be presented once a year and talk about how the equipment was used, any related complaints or concerns from the public. Oh, excuse me. Any results of our internal audits, costs related to the use, maintenance, and acquisitions, and training of the equipment, and how much equipment we actually have. So a copy of the report that outlines all of this has been included in your packet. The annual report must be made available to the public at least 30 days before any hearing or public discussion, which this meeting fulfills as a part of that requirement. Our policy, Department Policy 706, is available to the public. It's been posted on our department website since we've adopted it back in May of 2022. It can be found on the main page of the police department's website under the Transparency tab, and it also includes a list of approved equipment. We have not received any inquiries or concerns about the list of equipment to today's date. Some of the types of things that we would use these equipment for: barricaded suspects. We have an armored vehicle that we have used in situations, SWAT operations, high-risk operations, to protect our officers when we have barricaded suspects who may or may not have firearms. Some of the equipment are drones that we have, and we've used them for search and rescue operations. If we have critical missing children and adults, we use them to find them. We've used them to find suspects who are hiding in open fields. And we've used our robots for search warrant operations. This year, we actually purchased 6 pepper ball launchers, and for reference, those things, they are similar to paintball guns. They use compressed air to launch projectiles from the launchers. They look like paintballs, and they have a powdered chemical agent in them, similar to what we carry in our pepper spray cases, just in a powder form. So as of today's date, we have no complaints regarding any use of our equipment. Through our internal audits, we have no policy violations that have been identified by any of our officers who've used the equipment. All of the costs have been outlined in the report, the initial costs and any ongoing costs related to the equipment. There is a list of all of the quantities that we possess of everything, including chemical agents, our drones, firearms, everything's listed in that report. And as I mentioned, this year we purchased 6 pepper ball launchers. So the actions that I'm recommending is that we just reaffirm the continued use of the equipment that's outlined in that report, and just receive and file this report. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Any questions, council members?
I do. It says that it's posted on the department website. Is that a separate website from the city?
Well, it falls under the city's website, but it's actually like a separate page. So if you type in Menifee Police Department, it should pop up.
So if I go to City of Menifee, I just want to know, because it doesn't say in the presentation on where the public can go to see that report.
Sure.
So I'd like to tell them now, in case anybody's interested in seeing that. So that's .us. And so if you go to citymenifee.us, it would be under what? City services?
It should be, I usually just go to menifeepolice.org, and it'll pop
There
up that
we
way.
go. Menifee Police.org.
Council members, Carwin?
Yes?
You're almost there. It's menifeepolice.org/military equipment.
Well, that's the,
So from that page, on that transparency tab right there, if you click on the military equipment use button.
what? Oh, you have it up there?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fast. Okay. I'm so focused on my typing with one finger that, okay, so there it is.
Yeah, so if they click on that, there's a definition of what it is. You can actually click on the reports from this year, last year, and then where it says military equipment use policy, you can actually pull up our policy along with the list of the equipment that's been identified in the report itself.
Great, yeah, I just want to make sure the public was informed, because I keep saying available, available, available,
Right.
but that now we can see where it is available.
All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak or any correspondence on this item?
No, we do not.
All right, council, any other discussion? All right, I'll move to affirm the continued use of ordinance 22-339 and receive and file the report.
Second?
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Is it up? Yeah, I think we can just voice that one, right? It's kind of a direction. And Mr. City Attorney, anything to report?
No, Mayor.
Mr. City Manager, anything for us?
Yes, Mayor and council members, just a quick reminder that the next meeting has been canceled due to the holiday.
Okay.
And we will return, if I can get to my phone. It'll be the second meeting in July. July 17th.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, council members, any future requests for agenda? All right, we're going to go ahead and adjourn. It is 8:40. Thank you, everybody. Happy Juneteenth, and have a wonderful night.